This is my D&D world, and today we're going to be exploring our entire world and making a giant map that's 16,000 by 16,000 blocks. We're going to be making a spectacular fireworks factory so we have enough rockets to fly around and see it all. And then later on as a treat, I'm going to show you some datapack magic, where I answer the question, what would happen if you had enchanted banners in Minecraft? You know, just as bonus. Hello up there! I'm Mojo, and I'm making a D&D character creator in Minecraft. It's taken me about 6 months to do it so far, and I'm still going. Everything's going fine. I'm fine. How are you? Today, we're going outside and touching grass, because our world has got a bit bigger. Look at this. If this looks different to you, that's because we are now using Distant Horizons, and we can see halfway to the end of the world. And I mean that literally, because we can see 4,000 blocks in every direction, and we've set a world border at 8,000 and pre-generated every single chunk in there, because today's episode is going to be about mapping our world. I'm over here by the Shrines of Ability, which, for those who saw the last episode, you'll know this is where you roll your ability scores and then choose which stats they go in. Because I've set up a to-do list here. These are all of the things that are left to build in this big mountain-sized character creator. So let's go through them. So first off, we're going to need a place to choose your background and species. Your background is kind of where you came from before you became an adventurer. And your species is, let's say you're an elf or a halfling or something. So those kind of go together. So we need a place to choose where you come from in the world and what you were doing before you did this. Next up, we're going to need some sort of library to choose your spells if you're a spellcaster. We're going to need some place where if you get a choice of which things you're proficient in, skills, tools, and instruments, you can pick up your choice in those. Then there's feats, which are kind of like extra things that your character can do that aren't related to your class. Then we've got starting equipment, although what I might do is build that over there in Aetherstone, because we need some interesting buildings down there. Then we need some practical stuff, a place to get your character sheet when you're first starting. We need a place to get Amelin's coin, which is the thing that lets you roll your ability scores. I was thinking it would be kind of cool if you got it right at the top, and then you had to literally come down here and dive into the pool with it. We might do that. Then you need a place to get the level up tokens. So when you first create your character, you get one level up token for your first level to use in here in the Hall of Destiny, where you choose your class level. And then finally, we need some way to recycle bad rolls in the Shrines of Ability. Because I, as a DM, when I'm starting a campaign, I like rolling for stats, but if you roll really badly, that's going to suck for a long time. So I tend to allow my players a limited number of rerolls when creating characters. And the next time I run a campaign, the number of rerolls is going to have some story consequences. However, what we're going to be focusing on today is this part, your background and species. And I really want people to be able to point to where their character came from on a map. Now, Distant Horizons is not the only thing that I've added to the world. We also have this, see that in the corner? JourneyMap. When I'm flying around the world, I really want to see where I am in key landmarks. So, Mapping Project 1, you see we have a lot of blank space around us. But we do have all those chunks pre-generated, so we should be able to get JourneyMap to see them all. Okay, I'm in an offline backup of the world here because this is a trick that you can only do in single player. So what I've done is I've downloaded all of the chunks. And because I've downloaded them all, I can get JourneyMap to pre-generate the map for the entire world. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the data across to where JourneyMap stores it for the online world. So I'm going to press the magic button down here, and off it goes. Let me zoom in here. Now, while it does that, I want to talk a little bit about the size of the world. Why 16,000 blocks? Well, it's mostly because you can see 4,000 blocks in any direction with Distant Horizons, and I want things that are over the horizon to make the world feel big. And the other thing is, I was doing some calculation on journey times. Shout out to Nusi who helped me with this. If we use Minecraft days as D&D days, and keep all the other rules the same, it would take about 75 days to walk across this world. And that feels about right. Okay, JourneyMap is one thing, but I want a map that I can show to my players in the world. And that means vanilla Minecraft maps. So I am making a map room. And that is going to be where my players choose their species and their background and all that other stuff. Now my question is, how much space do we have? Now, we can't use unzoomed maps because it would be 128 by 128, and that's 16,000 maps. That's not going to happen. So let's have a look. I like this space here. This is kind of a nice picture window, and I think there is a decent amount of room at this sort of height. So let me do some measurements and see what I can fit in here. So this is 16 blocks across, and actually, this is plenty big enough. This is massive. So if we make it 16, then we can fit it inside of one chunk, just cuz. I would like to put it on record that this button must never be pressed. And I'm showing you the button so you know which one not to press. We're clear, right? Okay, so let's head down inside this mountain. I have hollowed out some mole holes in here. And we're gonna use a lot of this space for all of the stuff that I put on that board earlier. I've taken a wrong turn. I'm lost inside my own mountain. It's embarrassing. So here we are, an entire chunk worth of item frames ready to have maps put on them. And even with the corners cut off, this is 188 maps. So I'm very glad I didn't make this any bigger. But you can see the nice thing about this room is we can see literally to the four corners of the world. And you know what, there's some nice scenery out there in the world, and I'm looking forward to going and seeing it. And we're gonna have to, because here comes the bad news. There is no way that I know of to create vanilla maps for a Minecraft world without physically going out and flying over them with an elytra and rockets. And boy, are we gonna need a lot of rockets, because we've got 16,000 by 16,000 blocks to cover. So I have chosen a site for something we've needed for a while, but now cannot do without, and that's a rocket factory. And we're starting with this here, a hole in the ground. The hole is going to be where we make our sugarcane. But as for the creepers we need for the gunpowder, well, I think we need to build that up in the sky, because I have something a little bit fancy planned for that. How about I just show you? Let's build.
Why can't you see? No hoping what's left of me. I had to tell you before I fall asleep. Sitting there on the edge, babe, not knowing which way to lean. I am the wreckage in need of glue. Smash my guitar and stay in tune. Tired of the lights, they're all like me. Tripping all over you, babe. Tripping all over me. Tripping over you, babe. You're tripping all over me. Tripping all over you. Tripping all over me, yeah.
The time has come to make some maps, and now we have the fuel we need to do it. Because up here, we've made a creeper farm in the sky inside this balloon. Look at this. The inside of this balloon is going to be spawning creepers, and those creepers are going to be making gunpowder, and that gunpowder is going to go down underneath this basket, down there, to our rocket factory. And this basket here is our AFK spot. So we can either AFK in here, or we can smash creepers in the face with a sword, like so.
Dollar, dollar, I need a dime. I took a dive for an API. Babe, I want to give it all to you. Give it all to me, babe, and I give it all to you. Give it all to me, babe, and I give the world to you. Tripping all over you. Give it all to me, babe, I give it all to you. If you give it all to me, babe, I give the world to you.
I would like to show you a number. There. Distance by elytra. Over 2,000 kilometers. Now, the fastest you can go on an elytra is something like 30-something meters a second. Even using rockets constantly. And even at that speed, that is almost 18 hours. And I can tell you for sure that most of that has been flying around making this. So to help get this done, I created a grid system on stream where we have our columns going from A to P, and then we have our rows going from 1 to 16. And you can see all of these maps are named with their grid position. So, but now that I have all of the physical maps, I don't actually think that I need these signs anymore. I think these have served their purpose. So I obviously need to decorate this room. So also, as we were flying around making these maps, we were also naming some places. So you can see there's banners dotted here and around on the map. And also, if I open up my journey map, well, I'll need to go outside for this. You can see we have them as waypoints on JourneyMap as well. But it's hard to share these with other players. So one thing that I need to do is I need to make it a little bit easier to maintain these. Because what I can't be doing is flying back here when I'm out working on something in the world, grabbing the map, flying out. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take each of these maps and I'm going to clone them twice, I think. Once as a backup and once to go in this shulker. So in this shulker I have 16 bundles for each of the letters. And then let's clone this map thricely. Yeah, I bet you didn't think you were going to hear the word thricely today, and well, you were wrong. Okay, so one of them, we have barrels under here, used as a backup. Probably never need them, but I do not want to lose these maps in case I take them off for any reason. Then second, we're going to put one of these maps in this bundle, and then we're going to put that one back. And now, I believe, if I have to use these maps in the world, I can go and look in the A bundle. But yeah, I can look in the A bundle, I can find the map that I want, and then I can make changes to it. I could put new banners down, or fix ones that have been broken or blown up, which is quite, let's be honest, is what I'm going to be using this system the most for. Here we go. This now has copies of all 188. We're just going to grab this very slowly because I put my tools away. And we're going to leave it permanently in here. And here's what we're going to do with this at least. Oops. Don't pop off. Good. We want to go all the way around here with this light blue terracotta and then cover it with glass. Here we go. And this is what it looks like covered in glass. And it kind of gives you that feel of looking down on the planet from above. And if you zoom in using the zoom key, then you can just about see everything well. Okay, we're going to test this out. Over here. Where is it? So this one here, those words, the Demethrus Forest, they're too small to read. So I'm going to have to take out the. So I need to go out there and edit that banner. So I've turned on my journey map. I love having lots of rockets now. So I am 264 minus 1479. So that is going to be I 7. So we look at the maps for I. And let's see now. So map I7. Then let's go and find where we actually put that marker down. It's going to be close. There it is. So let's rename it. Hopefully this will make it more readable. Really enjoy this view with the balloon. Now, did that work? Yes, it did. And it's a little bit more legible now. Now that I'm happy with the map, I need to transform this from a map cave into something that looks more like a map room. And I've kept a lot of the orange and blue from the Shrines of Ability, plus a lot of trailing azalea. So I'm using a lot of resin and copper for the oranges, and some warped wood and oxidized copper for the blues. And some decorating later. I think you'll agree that the map room is looking much fancier. This is definitely the look that I want. Now the question is, how are we going to use it? Okay, adventurers, let me run you through how this is going to work in context. So, we're going to decorate all of this and make it look fancier. But this here, this room is going to be where you get your character sheet. So you pick that up, you pick up your level up token. And with those two things, the first thing you do is you put your character sheet in here. It'll open this door. Thank you. Then we're going to pick level 1 bard. And we're going to grab copies of things out of here. What we're going to do is Can exit, and now you see we go upstairs, and our character sheet is going to show up here. There it is. So while stuff is filtering in, we're going to take our 2 bardic inspirations, and we've got our 2 tokens for cantrips. We've got our 2 level 1 spell slots. So there we go. Proficiency, class level, hit dice. That's everything. The next thing we're going to do is go to the Hall of Backgrounds. Again, this will be made fancy. But let's say that we're going to take the Acolyte background. So we take this bundle out of here. We get a bunch of stuff. So again, this will be made fancy and given nice textures. We get the skill proficiencies in religion and insight. We get this tool proficiency in calligrapher's supplies. We get a feat, magic initiate cleric. And what we can do is we can put all those in here. And there's also, so at some point I'm going to implement at least the base ones that you get with the free rules, criminal, sage, soldier, and also the ability to create custom backgrounds. So this one, you get any tool proficiency, any feat, any 2 skill proficiencies. I suspect a lot of people are going to pick that. Oh, and the other thing is, it also says, you see where it says ability scores. So that's which ability scores you can have as bonuses. The next thing we're going to do is head round to the Hall of Species. And so again, I've got all of the base 3 species. I'm going to pick Halfling because that's the one that I've put in a book. So these are all the traits that Halflings have. We don't need to make it mechanical. We can just tell the player that they have them. And what I'm going to do, that I don't have yet, is make it so that you can put the book in here and get a copy of it. For now, I'm just going to put this back. So we're going to do this with spells as well, is whenever you have something that should go in your character sheet that's a book, we'll have a way of creating a copy. Now we go up. And I've put in a multi-floor elevator here. So in here is going to be where you get your feats. So what we're going to do in here is, if we have feats, what we'll do, so we've got the token for Magic Initiate, we'll go and find the spot for Magic Initiate and we'll trade it for the stuff that you get in that feat. And you might also just get the ability to choose any feat at some point. And yeah, you can do that. Next floor, what I should do, I've waxed these so I can't, I should write up on the back of these. But what you can do is, in each of these, hit the note block and it'll send you to the next floor. And here, so what I've put in here, as you can see, backstory and maps. And I've put a sign up here saying journals, because what I want to do is draw people to the stuff that's on here. So first, we're going to grab a spyglass, and that's going to be useful when we're looking at the map. And we're going to grab our character journal. And what we can do here is we can put in our character name and some notes about their appearance and languages and backstory and personality. And this is where all of the information about the world comes in handy. So we've got the map here, and you look, the spyglass is actually really useful for this. Don't mind the name of the spyglass. If you know, you know. And over here, we have the books that we took from the lore room. So these are the ones for Aetherstone and the Hexfen. But also, we have compasses for each of them. So if you really want to know where it is, you can be like, okay, I can look out of the window and see Aetherstone's in that direction. And then maybe knowing where I am on the map right now, you see we do have a green "you are here." I can figure out where Aetherstone is. And then we head up again. Maybe I could get it so that when you enter the lift, you automatically go up. That would be smart, wouldn't it? Then this one is going to be the arcane library. You can see, again, nothing in here yet. This is going to be where you make copies of your spell books. And then the final floor is going to be proficiencies. Ah! As I was saying before I was so rudely creeped in the face, this is going to be where you pick up proficiencies. So anything where you get a choice of proficiencies and it doesn't fit in a barrel somewhere else, we will have a small room where you can pick them up here. And then finally, we make it to the top. And what we are going to ask everyone to do is climb to the very top of the mountain, up into the clouds, and we're going to ask them to pick up one of these, Emmeline's coin. And then take a leap of faith. Hup! Incoming! And once they're down here, they make a wish. What are the chances that this still works? So then we put our character sheet in here. I've also just realized that we're gonna need these. So pretend that there were 3 of those in that bundle when we picked it up. And what did our bundle say? It said intelligence, wisdom, charisma. We probably want to put like 2 of those in charisma. We'll put the other one in wisdom, and we'll just distribute the rest of these in a way that makes sense. Press the confirm ability button and we wait. And there we go. 18 charisma, 13 constitution, 12 wisdom, 11 dexterity, 10 strength, 10 intelligence. And so, other than making things fancy and putting together the feats and spells, this is almost done. But I promised you one more surprise. And it's to do with enchanted banners. And you might be thinking, hey Mojo, you can't enchant banners. And I say, don't tell me what's impossible. Keep giving talks at the top of this mountain and forgetting that there's clouds everywhere. Okay, a little bit down here. Okay, fine. I have brought with me an enchanting table and a couple of banners, because I want to show off a new data pack that I'm developing, tentatively titled Proclamations. And what it lets you do is take a banner in an enchanting table and, oh look, it has a custom enchantment called Proclamation that you can give it. And this in the future is going to have a whole bunch of different features depending on what block you place it on. For now, it works if you attach it to lodestones. And specifically what we need to do is give it a custom name. And hello. That is going to show us this title. And what's more, if I fly away, I'm going to do a lap around the balloon to show it off here. And back we go. Aha! There we go. And you can see that the color of the title as well, by default, it is the same color as the banner. But that's not all. Now, if you have a means to give your items custom lore, for example, with Mookie Tanuki's name formatting station, I'm going to give this one some lore here. There we go. And Haha, it's gonna do the lore as a subtitle. Okay, but there's one other feature I want to show you. There is a reason that I made this work with lodestones. So let's fly down here to Aetherstone. And let's grab this banner here. Again, we're going to enchant it. And in fact, what we're going to do, we're going to put it on a lodestone. Oh, this is a good way to demonstrate as well. It also works if you put it on the side of a lodestone. What I'm going to do is grab my compass here and whoosh. You can see it named it after the banner. So, and it will also do lore as well. Let me try it with this banner. And let me rename it. Okay, but I'm going to change it back to Aetherstone. And this enables me to, when I go around and set up all of these banners, it enables me to bring home a compass. So I'm going to make myself a bag of compasses for all the points of interest in the world. Oh yes, the point of this, if it wasn't already obvious, is when you fly into a town or near a point of interest, you now get a title coming up telling you where you are. Cool, eh? That is going to be it for this episode. Thank you so much for continuing on this journey with me. And for those of you who are new, this episode's part of a series, so why not check out some of the other videos? I think next time we can maybe just about get this finished. See you soon.